Okay, and why did you choose? Well, actually, I kind of see why you did, but you can actually explain further. Why did you choose this particular memory to put in your memoir? Because there's so many things you could put into a memoir. I'm also writing a memoir. That's one of the things I'm working on. My memoir is my experience in Asia, which was 16 years. And I'm just in the very beginning of my experience, and already I have like 20,000 words. And so trying to figure out what to put into a memoir is a big deal. So how did you decide to put this particular memory in your memoir?
So at the moment, I should say this is a standalone piece. It actually could, though, fit into a larger memoir that I started about this terrible year I had where I was living in Atlanta, and I didn't mention it yet, but it gets into that later. And I had to move. I moved from somewhere else to Atlanta and then moved back because it was like such a terrible time. And it's funny now because I survived it. So I kind of want to write a memoir just about that year, but I haven't yet. And this would fit into that. But right now, it's a standalone piece that I'm trying to publish as just a shorter, you know, fun sort of exaggerated memoir. But I have written a much longer memoir, which is now at 70,000 words, although I've made it into a novel because I keep hearing a lot of agents and publishers like the idea of it, but I've had the last round of, with the Atlanta Writers Club, the last round of pitches I had, they were, or sorry, 2 rounds ago now, they were like, we would love this. We would love to look at it, but it's got to be fiction. And I was like, well, damn. And because, it was implied because nobody knows who I am, and nobody cares about my story specifically. So but which is ironic if you think about it, someone's willing to read a fictional story about the same stuff, but if it's about a real person, forget it. Because it was always written in a very, if you're familiar with Hunter S. Thompson, that kind of a style. It was never, oh, this is my life. I came from this family. It was always, you're in the story. The pace is fast. There's a lot of, drug related content, a lot of, sex and things like that. But so now, yeah, it's a novel, but it's very much based on true events that happened about 10 years ago in my life. To get back to your question, I wouldn't even overthink it, just like what feels right, because you can always go back and add scenes, or memories that you haven't thought of, depending on how true to the facts you want to be. I think it's even harder sometimes to be true to the facts. But I just threw stuff into the doc, kind of like I said, that I wanted to write about, wanted to talk about, and then only much later, even years later, which I don't recommend, I put it down for a while. I was like, hey, this could probably come out, or this could have more detail, or some editor told me that this doesn't really work. So it's a journey.